What's up, everybody? It's JT Sportsman at you guys with another video. This video I'm here with my Pittsburgh Steelers state of the season. I'm going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers current state of their 2019 NFL season going into the bye week. And before I begin, I want to give a special thanks to my guy, The Late Kick. I got this video idea from him. Make sure you guys go ahead and check out his channel. He uploads great college football videos and content. The link down to his channel will be down in the description down below. Kudos to him because I got the video idea from him. So going into their bye week, the Pittsburgh Steelers are currently 2-4 in the division, and they're third place right now. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, with that big one that they got versus the Chargers last week, put themselves in a great position with the strength of their upcoming schedule, which is pretty favorable in their matchup. They're not playing any teams that necessarily really scare you. So the Pittsburgh Steelers put themselves in a good position to get back into this AFC North division. With the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns schedule starting to tighten up a little bit, Baltimore has an incredibly tough schedule coming up. They got the Seattle Seahawks tomorrow or whichever day I'm recording this, and depending on how that game goes, not only do they have to play Seattle, but they have to face the New England Patriots in a couple of weeks. So the Baltimore Ravens are basically in the meat of their schedule. They're basically at the tough part of their schedule. In Pittsburgh, they don't really play a lot of teams that really scare you and their next couple of games. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have a very favorable schedule. Not to mention that 3 out of 4 of their next couple of games are going to be at home. They don't go on the road for the next couple of weeks. So that's another thing. But we need to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, what they have been on the offensive side of the ball. So when we look at this Pittsburgh Steelers team on the offensive side of the ball, they have been pretty pedestrian at best. Points per game, 20.5, which is 20th in the NFL. Yards per game, 276.5, less than 300 yards, which isn't really that good when you look at this day and age of football. I mean, anything below 300 yards of total offense is very disappointing. When we look at the passing yards per game, 28th in the NFL, a flat 200 passing yards per game, and rushing the ball. They're averaging less than 100 yards per game with 76.5, which is 28th in the NFL. So Pittsburgh has been pretty pedestrian on the offensive side of the ball. When we look at that Chargers game, I mean, a big reason why Pittsburgh's offense was able to have success was because the defense forced the turnovers and putting this offense in good field position. But for the most part, I mean, this offense has been pretty pedestrian, and it's been pretty disappointing. I know they lost Ben Roethlisberger and things like that, but you look at the talent that Pittsburgh has. On the offensive line, you got 2 All-Pros on the offensive line. You got 3 former Pro Bowls on the offensive line. So I'm not getting why the running game isn't having success that I think it should have behind that offensive line. Besides the game that they had last week versus the LA Chargers, which it was a very good game running the football. But apart from that performance, the Pittsburgh Steelers all season long have not really been that good running the football. And you got James Conner, who just went to the Pro Bowl last season. He hasn't really been that good running the football. He's pretty much, him and Jalen Samuels have pretty much been pretty good catching the ball out of the backfield. When it comes to running the football, they haven't really been able to generate a lot of success besides James Conner having a big week last week. Now, the thing that I want to see going forward is I want to see Benny Snell get a lot more touches when it comes to running the football, because Benny Snell, I told everybody before the Pittsburgh Steelers season started that Benny Snell was the throwback Pittsburgh Steelers halfback. He wasn't anything flashy. He wasn't a guy who's going to make you miss in the open field. He wasn't an incredibly fast guy. He's not as good catching the ball out of the backfield as a Samuels and a James Conner. But this guy, you hand him the football, he's not going to be patient. He's not with all that wait for the blocks to develop and stuff like that. You give Benny Snell the ball, and he's going to run straight in between the tackles. Nothing flashy. He gets the tough yards. He's a guy, this dude is an absolute workhorse. He was one of my favorite prospects coming into the 2019 NFL draft, and I was very excited when Pittsburgh drafted him. And Pittsburgh needs to find ways to get Benny Snell some more touches, man, specifically down in that red zone, a place that Pittsburgh has struggled. They need to give Benny Snell more touches, man. I really like what I've been seeing out of Benny Snell the last couple of weeks. And I think utilizing all 3 halfbacks would increase Pittsburgh's chances of getting back into the playoff conversation. Because although Pittsburgh is 2-4, yeah, they have a lot of work to do to get back into that playoff discussion. And although they do have a favorable schedule, the wide receiving core hasn't really been that good. James Washington is still not there yet. Juju Smith-Schuster still is trying to adjust to the role of being a true number 1 wide receiver. And Dante Moncrief basically has butter for hands and really can't catch anything. So you need to run the football a lot more. And you got 3 good halfbacks. But Benny Snell needs to get a lot more touches than what he has been getting the last couple of weeks. I think Benny Snell needs to get at least between 10 to 14 touches, and he could really do a lot of good things for this Pittsburgh Steelers offense because he is a throwback Pittsburgh Steelers halfback. He's nothing flashy. He doesn't wait for holes to develop. He's not great catching the ball at the backfield, but you give him the ball, and he's going to at least get 4 yards every time he touches the football because this dude is an absolute power back. He's a throwback. He's like a Jerome Bettis or Franco Harris. He is a true Pittsburgh Steelers halfback. He's the throwback Pittsburgh Steelers halfback. He's a power running between the tackles guy. This dude is an absolute freight train. He accounted for nearly 60% of the Kentucky Wildcats offense last college football season. So Pittsburgh needs to give Benny Snell more touches, specifically inside the red zone. I don't know why Pittsburgh is trying to get all fancy down in the red zone and things like that. Last week was probably the best play calling I've seen out of Pittsburgh's offense out of the whole entire season. You know what they did inside the red zone? Back, third string quarterback, they ran the freaking football. No reason to get flashy. No reason to try to do anything spectacular inside the red zone. Run the freaking football. And Benny Snell, I think Pittsburgh needs to give Benny Snell a lot more touches. If Benny Snell gets more touches than what he has been getting so far, I think he can really end up being a very key piece of this Pittsburgh Steelers offense and find ways to use all 3 of these halfbacks because we're struggling to find success in the passing game. So a way that you help that out is by running the football and utilizing all 3 of these very talented halfbacks because without a doubt, halfback is probably the best skill position that we have on this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. So Benny Snell needs to get more touches than what he has been doing and then find ways to implement James Conner and Jalen Samuels. But I think Benny Snell most definitely needs a lot more carries than what he has been getting the last couple of weeks. Now let's go to the defense. The defense has been picking up the last couple of weeks because they're able to force turnovers. I mean, defensively, the stats don't look impressive. I mean, they're 13th in the NFL in points per game allowed, allowing 21.8. Yards per game allowed, they're 15th, allowing 354.3 yards per game. Passing yards allowed, they're 19th in the NFL, allowing 244.3 passing yards per game. And running the football, they're allowing teams to run for 118.2 yards per game, which is 18th in the NFL. But what has separated Pittsburgh the last couple of weeks is the sacks and the turnovers. Pittsburgh is 2nd in the NFL behind turnovers per game behind the New England Patriots. Pittsburgh is averaging 2 turnovers, almost 3 turnovers per game. Not only are they able to get pressure on the quarterback and force turnovers, but they're also sacking the quarterback. This front 4 of the Pittsburgh Steelers has been exceptional this year. Now, Stephon Tuitt, he's been placed on injury reserve, but Pittsburgh, I mean, TJ Watt has been phenomenal. Bud Dupree, in a contract year, looks like he's going to end up getting a contract extension because he's been turning it on the last couple of weeks as well. This Pittsburgh Steelers team, on the defensive side of the ball, the secondary is not that good. But what's helping out the secondary a lot is that Pittsburgh is able to get pressure on the quarterback and they're forcing turnovers. All 2 of those reasons are a big reason why this Pittsburgh defense has been one of the better defenses in the NFL for the last couple of weeks now. And that's helping the offense because they say the best offense is a great defense. And this Pittsburgh Steelers defense has been helping this offense out a lot by forcing turnovers and putting this offense in good field position. And Pittsburgh wants to keep on winning games and get into that playoff discussion and clinch a wild card spot, then this defense is going to have to keep up the performance that they've been playing, and they're going to have to help this offense out a lot. Even when Pittsburgh gets Mason Rudolph back, this defense is still going to have to help out this offense by forcing turnovers and giving the ball back to Pittsburgh in favorable skill position. Then we also got to talk about Devin Bush. Devin Bush so far has been Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like a lot of people predicted, Devin Bush has been an absolute stud on the defensive side of the ball. An absolute stud. Pittsburgh, a lot of people were critiquing the pick that Pittsburgh traded up to get Devin Bush. A lot of people thought it was a reach, this and that. People were giving us C- and B- for drafting Devin Bush. It made absolutely no sense because we needed a coverage linebacker for the last 2 seasons ever since Ryan Shazier had that spinal injury. And Devin Bush has absolutely delivered. Absolutely delivered. Other than defensive backs, Pittsburgh is great at drafting every position besides defensive backs. Don't ask me why Pittsburgh sucks at drafting defensive backs, but other than defensive backs, Pittsburgh drafts exceptionally well. And Devin Bush has been a great draft pick. Traded up a lot to get Devin Bush. We used the picks that we used to trade Antonio Brown to the Oakland Raiders. We used those picks to trade with Denver into the top 10 to get Devin Bush with a 10th overall pick. And so far, he has delivered for us. Without a doubt, he has probably been the second best player that we've had on the defensive side of the ball besides TJ Watt. TJ Watt definitely needs to be in conversation for defensive player of the year because he has definitely played very well. I thought he should have been in conversation for defensive player of the year last year. But TJ Watt and Devin Bush have been the two best players on the defensive side of the ball. And Steven Nelson has been our best defensive back on when it comes to that secondary. And also Minka Fitzpatrick has been pretty good as well. But Steven Nelson, a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans try to tell me Steven Nelson wasn't really that good of a free agent signing and this and that. He wasn't really that good with Kansas City. Look, he was Kansas City's best corner last year. Steven Nelson so far has been the best defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. So now let's get into Pittsburgh's their next 4 games that they have coming up. So the next 3 games they have are at home. They play Miami, coming off a bye. Miami, that's pretty much an automatic W, but you know Pittsburgh has a tendency to underplay into their competition. But realistically, Pittsburgh should be able to beat Miami. Then they'll go 3-4. Then you have the Indianapolis Colts. That's a winnable game there. Indianapolis is a well-coached team, anything like that. But that's a game that could end up going either way. And it's at home. Then you have the Rams. The Rams have been struggling the last couple of weeks. They just did a mid-season rebuild in the middle of the season after they got destroyed by the San Francisco 49ers. And they also been struggling on the defense side of the ball. So they just did a mid-season rebuild. So that game, I'll take LA to win that game, but I think Pittsburgh could have a very good shot at winning that game, but I'll take LA right now. Then you have the Cleveland Browns, which is the first game that Pittsburgh goes on the road to face in the last couple of weeks, and that's a toss-up game because that's a divisional game. That can go either way as well. Pittsburgh's defensive line has been incredibly well, one of the better defensive lines in all of football versus Cleveland, whose offensive line hasn't really been that good, so that's a winnable game for Pittsburgh. So all in all, Pittsburgh has a chance to get back into that playoff hunt and get back into the mix of this division with Baltimore having a very tough schedule coming up. So this is my Pittsburgh Steelers state of the season. Let me know what you guys think about the Pittsburgh Steelers so far. Do they have a chance to get back into the playoffs? Will they miss out on the playoffs? Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and college football videos. And thanks for watching.